What's up, my little peeps? All right, so today's story is lesson 5, Theseus and the Minotaur. Now, the Minotaur is this crazy half bull, half man beast here, and here's the prince Theseus. Prince Theseus has good reason to go and fight this Minotaur, and you're going to hear all about it. This is core knowledge, language arts, Greek myths. And in the past, you've been hearing about Greek myths about every different Greek god. You can see them all over here, sitting on their thrones in Mount Olympus. You got Dionysus, Hermes, Hephaestus, Aphrodite, Poseidon, Hera, Zeus, Demeter, Athena, Ares, Apollo, and Artemis. In that order, those are the 12 Greek gods and goddesses. And you're going to hear about Theseus, a young prince who fights this Minotaur. In this story, your job, your goal, your target is to retell key details and main events from the read aloud, from this story. So when it's all done, if your teacher asks you, because I've heard back from some of your teachers, if your teacher asks you, well, so do you remember that story about Pandora's box? Or can you tell me about Theseus and the Minotaur? You need to remember key details and main events. What happened in the story? How did it happen? Why did it happen? Where did it happen? That is your job as a second grader. Start to learn those things, because we don't just read to read the words, we read to understand. In this story, you're going to hear a couple words that are new to you. The first word is vaulted. Vaulted is jumped over something while using your hands to push off. Brooke vaulted over the fence as she chased her runaway puppy. Here's some dudes doing parkour. They were vaulting over that fence and over that brick wall. The next word is unraveling. Unraveling. Separating or disentangling threads. Unwinding. A loose thread from Kim's scarf got caught on the doorknob, and before she knew it, the whole thing was quickly unraveling. Next word is sneered. Sneered means laughed with a slight raising of one's corner of the upper lip. A show of disrespect or dislike. You can actually see this dude. He is sneering because half his lip is like, "Arr." The thief sneered rudely when the police questioned him. Next word. Now, this is an interesting one. The word is labyrinth. A labyrinth is a maze of intersecting paths bordered by high hedges or brushes. For example, the competitors raced to be the first to reach the prize at the center of the labyrinth, but they were easily confused by the tall bushes around them. Here's a maze labyrinth, like a one that's cut out of grass, and then here's like a Minecraft labyrinth, like a little maze. It's like got walls. That is totally a labyrinth. Some of you Minecrafters out there, you might know what I'm talking about. Are you serious? All right, last word is convinced. Convinced means brought someone to a certain opinion or persuaded. Persuaded's a good word too. If I convince you of something, I'm going to make you believe it. For example, as we talked, my mom convinced me that I was better to do my homework before going outside to play. Yeah, I think she made you do your homework. That's a good thing. So there's convinced. I'm serious. Do your homework. Come on, you little chicken nuggets. Do your homework. All right. Hey, well, that's it for all of our vocabulary. Remember, you got to retell those main events and key details as we read. Let's get started with our story. Theseus and the Minotaur. Boom, 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 boom. Ha. Let me pause. All right, thank you so much for waiting. I thought I had my book already, but I wasn't on the right page, so I had to set it up. All right, so Prince Theseus was the son of the ruler of Athens, King Aegeus. Theseus had been raised by his mother in a town far north of Athens. From Athens in far north, let's try that again. Theseus had been raised by his mother in a town far away from Athens and did not know his father in his youth. When he was old enough, in order to meet his father, Theseus journeyed to Athens, had many adventures, and proved to himself a fierce warrior. When he finally reached Athens, he was shocked to hear that his father, King Aegeus, was telling him. Next week, King Minos and his ship returns to Athens after another 9 years, King Aegeus said. This will be the most terrible time for our people when they see those black sails. Black sails? Who is King Minos, and what happens when his ship comes to Athens? Asked Prince Theseus. His father answered, King Minos, who rules the great island of Crete, has the mightiest navy and army on earth. Several years ago, his son was visiting here in Athens. There was a terrible accident, and the young men never returned to Crete. I sent word to Crete explaining what had happened and how sorry we were, but King Minos would not listen. He and his warriors attacked and conquered Athens. Then Minos announced, You Athenians must share my sorrow. My son was 18 when he went to Athens. Every 9 years, I shall send a ship with black sails. This ship will take 7 of your Athenian men and 7 Athenian women, each my son's age, to Crete. There I shall send those Athenians into the labyrinth. What is the labyrinth, father? Theseus asked. It's an enormous maze running with twisting tunnels and rooms cut out from the hillside near Minos' palace. Minos commissioned the master inventor, Daedalus, to design it. Once inside, a person becomes hopelessly trapped. Worse yet, living in the maze is a minotaur, a monster that is half bull and half man. The minotaur knows every inch of the maze and hunts down whomever enters there. Many times King Minos has sent his black-sailed ship to carry away 7 of our young men and women, and none of them ever get out of the labyrinth. And now, next week, the black-sailed ship will return. Theseus said, Father, you know my skill as a warrior. I'm 18 years old. I will take the place of one of these youths and stop the Minotaur before it can strike again. No, my son. I will not let you risk your life, King Aegeus replied. Father, how can I let this continue when I know I can stop it? I am the person with the best chance against this beast. Finally, Theseus convinced his father and told him that if he was successful, he and the other Athenians would return on King Minos' ship with white sails. A week later, the prince and his young Athenians boarded King Minos' ship. When they reached the island of Crete, guards led them to King Minos' throne room in the palace. There, Minos sneered. It was fitting that the son of the king of Athens should not return to his home, as my son did not return to his. Theseus answered, It is more fitting that the son of the king of Athens should end this horrid business once and for all. Standing at King Minos' side through all of this was his daughter, Princess Ariadne. The princess was amazed to see Theseus was not afraid. She thought, what an extraordinary man. I must save him, but how? Even I would not be safe from my father's fury if he found out. Princess Ariadne needed help, so she went to the most brilliant man she knew, the man who also happened to be the creator of the labyrinth, Daedalus. The clever Daedalus told her, It is impossible to sneak a weapon into the maze. The guards would find it and remove it, and eventually they would trace it back to you. However, if the reports of Theseus's bravery are true, he may still have a fighting chance with the Minotaur. Then, at last, we can help him find his way back out of the labyrinth. Here is what you must do. That night, Princess Ariadne went to Theseus's room in her father's palace. She told the young hero, "Wind this ball of string around yourself beneath your clothes so the guards cannot see it. After you enter the labyrinth, tie one end of the thread to the handle of the gate and unwind the rest as you go through the maze. If you defeat the Minotaur, rewind the thread, and it will lead you back the same route to the gate. And if you succeed, you must take me with you to Athens, for if my father ever finds out that I have helped you." "Of course we will take you," Theseus said. "Thank you, princess." Well, the next day, after the guards closed the gates to the labyrinth, behind the Athenians, Theseus told the others, "Wait here. I go to seek the Minotaur. If I fail, you are worse off. If I succeed, we will be able to return safely to Athens." Tying the thread to the door handle and unraveling it with each step, Theseus set off in the labyrinth. Within 5 minutes, he was hopelessly lost. Still, he went on, though he knew that the half-man, half-bull might be waiting for him around the corner or the next bend and sneaking up behind him, ready to eat him. Finally, Theseus found himself at the entrance of the gate room in the labyrinth. Resting on a stone floor at the far end of the room was the Minotaur. It was huge. It had a muscled body of a man, but instead of a man's head, its head was a bull with long, sharp horns. Theseus broke off the golden thread and stepped forward. The Minotaur rose to his feet to face him. Then the Minotaur charged. Theseus waited for the huge beast to rush towards him. At the last moment, the young prince stepped onto one side and vaulted over the monster's back. Confused at not having caught him on its horns, the Minotaur turned back and charged again. Again, Theseus avoided his horns, leaping to the other side this time. Over and over, Theseus escaped the deadly horns. Each time, Theseus was moving closer to the wall of the room. Finally, as Theseus leapt aside once more, the Minotaur was unable to stop and ran with an explosive shock right into the wall. Staggering, it fell to its knees. Theseus leapt upon its back and seized its great horns. He wrestled the Minotaur to the ground and eventually defeated him. Hours later, the other Athenians saw their prince emerging wearily and triumphantly from the stone tunnels. Untying the thread that had led him back, he said quietly, "Let's go home." Opening the gate, which was never locked, for no one had ever returned, the Athenians stole out. The day passed, and the city was shadowed with night. They moved down to the harbor and found Princess Ariadne waiting for them in the shadows by the docks. Then they all set sail for Athens, bearing the glad news. Thanks to Theseus, the danger from the Minotaur was finally over. Theseus, however, forgot to change the sails from black to white. When his father, King Aegeus, saw the black sails from his perch on a cliff, he fainted and fell toward the sea. To this day, the sea King Aegeus fell into is called the Aegean Sea. All right. Thank you. Till next time. See you later.